So the next presenter, next title is Problems and Perspectives in Pest Control of Seabuckthorn in Poland, presented by Professor Malusa Eligio.
Hello, nice to meet you all. I hope you can see the let's say full vision, full
yes, we can see
mode. Okay. So we are talking from Poland. Skierniewice is the institute which is working on fruit production, generally speaking. And today, just to present you something about the Seabuckthorn, which is a quite new crop for Poland, actually. And what we are gonna to us was very interesting to see and listen what is the crop production system in Greece, because it's completely different from what we have in Poland. In Poland, we have mainly also Russian and German varieties, but for example, the biological cycle is a bit delayed, late compared to the Greece one, and harvest is done by pruning the trees, so taking the whole shoot with the fruits out of the plant and putting them into the refrigerator that will allow to later gather the fruits, actually. But today we are going to talk about what are the major problems that we have in our orchards, and actually it's about insects or arthropods mainly. This is just to show you which kind of methods we use in order to carry on the analysis, let's say, of what is the entomofauna in the Seabuckthorn orchards. We have check-ins sheets, observations, and trapping. And we just started in the last season to have a look a little bit broader, I would say, to what is the entomofaunal biodiversity and population, let's say, in the different locations. We mainly deal with three different areas where there are some orchards. So you see here on the left, on the first column, so it's the eastern region, so near the border with Belarus. And then we have the northern region, which is quite, let's say, near also the Baltic Sea, and then the eastern northern, I mean, Baltic Sea closer, let's say, to Germany, and then the eastern northern region, as you can see. And you see that in this eastern region, we have the highest, I would say, always during the whole season, number of trophic groups that have been found in the orchards, if we compare with the others. And what is interesting, I think, it's that there is a quite, I would say, wide range of families that are found in the orchards. You can see in blue are those are the families that are found in all orchards, that have been found in all orchards. And these are kind of common, very common, because the Curculionidae or Coccinellidae are very common. Or spiders are also common, Scarabaeidae. But some others, like the Latrididae, these are not, or Nabidae, are not so common, I would say, all over the different kind of crops that we have in Poland. And for some of them, we have, I would say, found them only in one or two of the sites that we have assessed. I think this is an interesting point, because also the one which is in yellow, orange, you see the Psyllidae, for us was a kind of never noticed before problem, but we have seen that actually you see here the two species, it's the Capopsilla genera, it's Hippope and the Terstediti. These are the two species that we have found in our orchard. We have found some, maybe, at risk from the point of view of the pest control, the aphids, this Capitophorus hippopes. We have found which have not very damaging, I would say, some butterflies, so from larvae from Tortricidae and Geometridae, as you can see here, and also in some cases also mites. This is the Acheria hypophena, and last but not the least, of course, the Rhagoletis batava. So this is for us the major problem that we have in our orchards. And the presentation actually will mainly deal with this pest. So we started actually to work with the Seabuckthorn in 2017 with the initial, let's say, evaluation in few orchards, because we were looking for places where, I mean, we have been contacted by some farmers that were telling us that there were some problems, but these were kind of very small orchards. And then, but starting from that, then we decided that maybe it's worthy also because the products coming from Seabuckthorn are becoming increasingly important in processing and in the production, particularly in organic farming, and we are mainly dealing with the organic farming orchards here. So we started in 2018 to really to perform a real monitoring of the flights of the Rhagoletis batava, and you can see here that, for example, you have this different orchards in different seasons. There is a kind of alternating presence of the flight in quantity. Dąbrowice is a central side, central part of Poland. This is the northern part of the northeast part of Poland, and you can see that in the different here there are in the different sites different let's say incidents of the fly. What is interesting to us also, it's maybe we are not sure if it is an effect of climate change or an effect of, definitely there is also a seasonal effect anyway, that you can see that in this year, for example, 2021, in all places we found a 2 weeks delay in the beginning of the flight. We don't know exactly why, but as you can see, nevertheless, there are differences also in the period if we compare the northern with the eastern and the central part. So the central one is normally the warmer side, so the flights are beginning earlier than compared with the others. And you see on the last column also an average number of the adults that have been catched during the season. There is a kind of decreasing trend in them. We hope that this is also due to the activity that we are carrying out in these sites, in these places, in these orchards. And I will show you, even though we do not have, I mean, the efficacy of what we are doing is not comparable to any kind of pest control in other kinds of crops. Because we are trying also to, I will show you later the normal tools that we are using for both monitoring and mass trapping, but we are also trying to testing, and this year was the first one. You see here, it's a cherry tree, but we did the same in the Seabuckthorn orchard using some tools that allow to take pictures or to see immediately, let's say, because the picture then sent to the cloud, and then we can download immediately the picture of the sticky trap. This is actually and in this case it's another kind of trap because it is based on lures, so on attractants, and also in this case we can have a picture which is then visible, say, immediately, so live, as we can say. What we started to do was after the monitoring to see what is the real situation, was try to develop some methods for mass trapping, because that was the first thing that we thought could be suitable in our conditions. Again, I'm saying we are dealing with the organic production, so actually there is almost nothing that has been tested as far as we knew at that time for this kind of production. So we started with something which is allowed to be used, and besides with the sticky traps, that for us was a kind of let's say reference point, we utilized two homemade, I would say, methods. With one which was made with 4% water solution of fertilizer, ammonium phosphate fertilizer. The differences here on the two bottles are it's on the top, so it's just a common a common hook, I would say, and this one was we found from an Italian company that is building for other purpose, for other kind of flies, but we thought that it could be also useful in our case. We did the same, let's say, the same structure, but using anchoas that put into an ammonia solution, similarly to what is done, for example, in south of Italy for the olive fly. And then we found that in Spain there is a company that is producing these conical traps with the lure that has been developed for Ceratitis capitata. So the company is Probodelt. So we wanted to test also them, whether to check whether the same lure could be also suitable for the Batava. Now we deployed about 80 traps per hectare, and just starting before the beginning of the flight. And you see here how these are put, and then when we collect on the left side, to assess the number of flights that could be caught. And at the end of the trial, we also were assessing the fruit damage, so to have an understanding of the efficacy of the different treatments. And you see how many we were collecting on the bottom side. So just to show you some numbers, so if you look from the bottom, you see that the total number of flies that were caught in traps, I think with the conical one was quite interesting. Nevertheless, those this A2, so-called the two different kinds of taps. So these are the bottles made with the 4% solution of the fertilizers, were also not so bad, I would say. And this somehow, let's say, finds a correlation with the reduction of the percentage of damaged fruits. Nevertheless, that's the problem. In these orchards, the damage was still quite high, as you can see, 40 to 60%, depending also on the pressure, I would say, of the population pressure that we have in the different sites. Because you can see here, it's eastern sides on the left side and the northern side on the right side. We wanted also to verify what was the difference, kind of, let's say, scientific approach to verify what is the difference between the two products, so the two lures, the organic one for the Ceratitis capitata and the mineral one, so the ammonium phosphate fertilizer, using an electronic nose. And you can see here that, for example, out of 17 different sensors that we were using for different kinds of gases, the 6 that you see on the right side were those that actually were differentiating the two kind of attractants, let's call it this way. And as you can imagine, 3 of them were also dealing with nitrogen-derived compounds. So it's S2, the S7, and also the actually the S10, because it's hydrogen sulfide, but can be linked also to the ammonia anyway. To us, that was interesting because we wanted really to see whether, because at the beginning, we didn't find much differences between the conical, let's say, trap and our bottle traps. So we want to see whether we could really maybe increase the efficacy of the bottle trap, which is homemade, maybe adding some other. But when we come to the control, we did the first trials in 2018, as you can see on the top, the application 4 times we applied from the beginning, let's say, of the flying times until the end. Maybe it was 9 of August, was a little bit at the very end. Generally, they do not fly to such a long period. So, but with these 4 applications, and we use different kinds of products that normally are allowed in organic farming. So that's orange oil or quassia amara, even though it is no more allowed. But anyway, at that time we wanted to try. We use the Boveria bassiana, which is actually an entomopathogenic, very generalistic fungus. Spintor, everybody know, and also the extract from Azadirachta indica, so the neem. And you see with the amounts, and I mean, the first year it was quite very promising, I would say, the results, and you see the efficacy in the table ranging between, say, around 70%. But then in the next year we did the same, and we didn't have the same results actually. So we were a little bit. I mean, this was a little bit unexpected. So we are really interested to see what also the others colleagues are doing in their case. And then in 2020, talking with the farmers, where they were mentioning that maybe something else is also going on in their orchard. So we started with kind of initial, I would say, sampling of some symptomatic leaves and fruits. And this year, actually, the sampling was done on a more broad way, just really to determine which kind of pathogens are present. And you can see here that we start from wilting shoots, so mainly three fungi, but botrytis is always there. When we looked at the leaves that were showing some spot symptoms, again they were derived from botrytis infestation. And then we looked at the flowers or rotting roots or rotting fruits, sorry. And in both cases, the aporte was the major source of the symptoms. Nevertheless, also in the fruits, we found again botrytis. And we think that this could be really a kind of problematic aspect, particularly for the fruits, because it's affecting actually the fruit. There was also some really kind of strange symptoms were found by our colleagues from the phytopathological section of our department, and they found that actually there were some bacteria over there, particularly the pectenolytic species, which are tissue decomposers, and also pathogenic species, very likely from Pseudomonas or Leliotia genera. And you see here also the symptoms that we found. Now, the question to us, and what also the farmers are asking us, is how to effectively deal with these pests and pathogens. And actually, we cannot say that there is one specific method. Actually, I think it's the same as the Greek colleague was mentioning for the verticillium. What we always propose, it's a kind of integrated approach, particularly for the organic production, where we need to include the monitoring, and then maybe mass trapping, and then maybe also we proposed netting with because and sometimes this could be also useful for the batava, so for the Ragoletis fly. but this is quite expensive, I would say. We also were proposing to have some, let's say, indirect activities toward, for example, the pupae that are present in the soil, so to treat the soil or to till the soil in order to destroy them. So to have a kind of an approach that is affecting the at least the two possible phases of the biological cycle of the fly, where we really can, which we really can affect, let's say. So with this, I thank you all for the attention.
Thank you, Eligio, for the nice presentation. So, do we have any questions, please? Thomas, do you have on the chat box anything?
In the chat box, there are no questions, but for me,
There is Yuri. Yuri is raising hand.
Yuri,
Okay, Yuri.
Sorry, Yuri, please.
Hey, Eligio, nice to meet you actually. And as far as I understand, you in your control method, you mainly focused on traps. Maybe you have any experience in applying of such kind of parasitoids, maybe in such kind of entomopathogenic fungus, maybe spraying the bushes with some oils or protective substances. Maybe you have any experience in laying some, put some films under the bushes. Do you have any experience in this?
Yes, we tried with this. I mean, we as I showed, we were trying to use the Boveria bassiana, no, which is actually an entomopathogenic fungus. The idea was to treat not only the trees, but also on the soil. So to have the fungus, let's say, developing in the soil and attacking eventually the pupae of the fly. We did also some trials, let's say, in the laboratory to see the effectiveness of this treatment. Was not so interesting, I would say. So the results were not so promising. We had the idea of using the oils, and actually I presented only the orange oil, but we did also with some other oils, for example, the cinnamon oils and others. We have been developing together with the colleague, I mean a chemist colleague, some nano dispersions. With the idea, because we found that a paper where the idea of the, let's say the method, the mechanism, sorry, the mechanism of action was that flies are just slippering on the fruits which are covered with this oil. We started just this season. Results are still there. We have not finalized the assessment. In some cases, it seems that they were kind of interesting, but what was interesting to us was that these oils were more protecting against the pathogens. So the plants that showed some botrytis or some this other fungus that we mentioned resulted to be to have a lower incidence of this pathogen. So probably also this will be more, let's say, tested for that specific aspect. For the other methods, we deal a lot with different kinds of insect pests. So we also thought, okay, similarly for example with the Suzuki, okay, we can have also the nets to put over the plant. It could be useful, but again, when we talk with the farmer, he said, it would cost to me too much. And besides that, because it's a problem, let's say, of trellising also, let's say, and putting the net, so to creating the system for keeping the nets. So he was not really keen to apply such kind of system.
Okay,
Yeah,
there are
thank you.
two questions inside the chat. One is from Ms. Holz. In which year starts the problems with Seabuckthorn fly in Poland? And the second question is concerning what do you think, why are the results in control of Raguletes Batavia was so different in 2018 and 2019?
We started to have the first, let's say, information from farmers in 2017, actually. But I think that the first crops started a couple of years before. Actually, I was in Riga. I think there was a meeting or ABC meeting, and there was also a colleague. We were just presenting the first monitoring data on this. And actually was saying that they also, I mean, it looks like it is coming, from Russia, coming year after year and then going west, but we had this 2017, the first, and when we went to see the fields, then we started to understand that there is a real problem. In 2018, we started the real monitoring, the real activity. So. But it's different in the different areas of Poland. So in the different regions, really there is a different incidence of the population, and therefore also of the damage to that. We have tried to combine sprays and trapping. Yes, the second question, and actually it seems that. But this is a kind of long-term effect, I would say, because I was showing you that this year. Actually, the amount of trapped adults were low. I mean, year by year is lowering a little bit, but we hope, of course, that it's because of our activities into these orchards. Actually, these are big orchards, so we can have an assessment of the different activities that we carry on. But it is also maybe the question of we never know, of the biological cycle of other, let's say, factors that are affecting the survival maybe of the pupae in the soil and whatever. And then why the control of the fly is had less effect the second year? Who knows? I mean, it's also with the biological control in these biological pesticides, they call this way, or the problem is always, in the different factors that are affecting their efficacy. So how do you spray? When do you spray? Maybe it's the right period. Maybe it was just raining just a couple of days after, or the incidence of the sun, particularly with the Bavaria, was higher. So you never know. To us, what is our experience, if we reach between 50 to 60, 70% efficacy, it's already a good rate, because for organic farmers, they are used to this kind of efficacy. In that case, I mean, that was actually the case of the first year. Then the second was half. Don't know.
Okay, thank you. Torsten has raised his hand, please.
Yes, thank you very much for your nice presentation. I have a little question about the monitoring of Seabuckthorn fly. You show a picture with a camera system. Is it possible to detect Seabuckthorn fly with the camera, or can you only detect the amount of individual of all? Or
It's a tricky question. I mean, we started this year. We wanted to see if actually it can be done. We think that there is a need to, and we were discussing with the company that is producing. I mean, we are talking with the representative, then, because the company is from Austria, is special, and to have maybe a little bit better camera that is taking the picture, because sometimes it's very difficult, particularly if the insect is not showing, very well the wings. Okay, so you don't know if it is this one or something else, then that's the problem. But our idea was actually to try to use maybe not yet, let's say, a image analysis software to detect it, but with the eye, to check it's easier, because also we have the fields which are kind of 200, 300 kilometers apart from our laboratories. Okay, so it's a little bit not only time expensive, but also expensive in resources, to go there and check every week.
Thank you.
Thank you.